Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. La 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 la. Hello, everybody. I don't know if anyone else is joining us right now, but I've not gotten the notification yet. But this, oh, there we go. Just got the notification. Oh, yeah. How's everyone doing? You guys doing good? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Unbelievable. We are starting 30 minutes later than we usually do, and it is going to be a short show. I apologize in advance, but I also did, well, I said it was going to be a short show last week, but we were also going to start on time last week. I thought you would be at the fireworks with the new Magic Band. No, I'm actually in Wisconsin right now with no Magic Band. I'm on vacation. If you guys missed it last week, we talked about how the next 2 weeks we were going to be out of maybe we were going to be out of the country there. Not out of the country, out of the state, out of Florida. Hello, 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 hello. So that also explains why we have no backdrop. We've got nothing. We've got just you guys propped up on my lap and the laptop. Hence the name, laptop. Doesn't it look crazy without the posters? For those of you guys who used to join the Wednesday show back when it first started, this is where we actually started. This is my childhood room, except for we used to have posters all over the wall. This is actually where this is the birthplace of the Wednesday show. This is where we started 675 weeks ago, which is kind of crazy, absolutely crazy. All right, let's get into it because we are going to do a short show tonight. So we're going to start the 675th episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 675th episode of the Wednesday show. Today is July 27th, 2022, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today, we're going to be continuing and probably finalizing our talk about the extinct attractions. We've been doing this every single Wednesday since the start of July, so we're going to conclude our talk about extinct attractions today. So if you guys have any extinct attractions that we have not talked about yet, start throwing them into the comments right now, and hopefully we choose the one that you guys want to try. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. If you guys missed it last week, I did talk about how this week for our Saturday in the Park will be non-existent. Saturday in the Park is going to be put on hold, mainly just due to the fact that I'm up here in Wisconsin right now, and we will not be able to broadcast from a park. So I apologize. However, next Saturday, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after, we will be coming to you guys once again live from Disney. So make sure you join us for that as well. And then, of course, as always, tonight's show is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel. Make sure you stop by itsallaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely, positively, 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I have a very solid idea of what we've gone through. I didn't bring my book with me, though, so of what we talked about. So just start throwing things out there, and if we don't do it, we won't do it. Did you find the answer to my question on how they keep the piano tune on Main Street with all the humidity and rain? I have not yet. I was actually walking by them the other day when they were actually leaving the set, so I did not have a chance to actually go through and eat it. Or not eat it, and ask them. Okay, we've got Living the Seas, Push the Talking Trash Can. I don't remember. Do you have a cheat sheet? Just keep on throwing the things down there. Hello to those people who are joining us right now. I apologize that we are coming to you guys later than usual today. I am up in Wisconsin right now, so we are doing a shorter version of the show tonight. But make sure you go through and just start throwing some extinct attractions into the comments below. We're going to be talking about as many as possible. If you guys have not joined us over the last few weeks and you don't know what we're doing right now, we've been talking about the different extinct Disney attractions. I can't find a good angle that's comfortable. I guess this is how the show started way back in the day. Remember those days? Does anyone remember Disney? Yeah, Disney Quest counts. Definitely Disney Quest counts. Okay, if anyone else has any to throw in there, I did leave my cheat sheet back at home down in Florida. Joe, are you out there? Because Joe, we did skip Joe's last week. And if Joe's on here right now, we will go through and we will do Joe's. I second Disney Quest. Should we start with Disney Quest? Food rocks. Push the talking trash can. Live in the land. And then we are also going to go through. We will not be going into many extra innings tonight. However, I will give you guys the opportunity to get us into one extra inning. And let's check where our numbers are at the start of the show today. 1,722 subscribers. So if we can get to 1,723, we will go a little past the 10:30 time slot that we usually go through. What was the scariest attraction that was at Disney Springs? The scariest attraction still on Disney property to this day is still at Disney Springs. It is the teacup that can be found on the carousel. Oh, yeah. 2 people requested Disney Quest. Let's start off with Disney Quest, and then hopefully we can get into at least 1 or 2 of the other ones here as well. So, yeah, the numbers are climbing. Isn't that cool? 1,722. We've gone up. Here, let me do this as well, because the numbers right now are blowing my mind. This is just the last 28 days. We've gone up 124 subscribers. 73 more than the usual 34, 40, 51 range. So thank you. Thank you everyone out there who's been joining us and subscribing and stuff like that. Also, if you guys didn't know, we are not doing daily Disney videos. However, we are doing YouTube shorts while I'm here. So still look out for that. I did post a short on YouTube today. I did post a reel on Instagram not that long ago. And I also posted a TikTok. They're all the same. So if you saw one, you've seen them all. But also, if you've seen one, go through and like them all. Okay, so we're going to start off with Disney Quest because a few people have gone through. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Does Disney? So we're going to do Disney Quest because 2 people said Disney Quest, and then hopefully we can get into 2 or 3 different things here. Okay, so Disney Quest actually started off as a thing in the 90s. It started off as an idea that Disney had, which I think is actually still to this day a genius idea, because they figured that not a lot of people can make it to Disneyland or Walt Disney World or Tokyo or Paris or Hong Kong. And they figured because a lot of people couldn't make it to these other parks around the world, maybe what Disney could do is they could bring an interactive theme park experience to different guests around the country instead. So instead of having it so they came to Disney, Disney could go to them. So the idea of Disney Quest was born. So Disney Quest originally opened up over in Walt Disney World on Walt Disney World's west side back in the 1990s. And then right at the same time, they also opened up a second Disney Quest in Chicago, Illinois. True story. So the idea was they were going to open up multiple Disney Quests all around the world. The third one was slated. It was actually construction began over in New York City. And the idea was to have it so they could have more and more of these Disney Quest locations all around the country. So if someone couldn't make it to the theme parks, they could at least go have an interactive experience at a Disney Quest area. So when Disney Quest first opened up in Disney World, it opened up as a pretty fairly big success. There was 5 different levels of pure excitement, pure energy, and pure fun. Hey. You actually boarded into an elevator as soon as you get on there, and the elevator was narrated by the genie himself. This did end later on in the career of Disney Quest. But originally, you would actually go into the elevator, and there was an animation projection of the genie on the wall, and the genie would go through, and he would be interacting with you, and then he would launch you up to the third floor, where you would go into several different locations. Now, when you would actually go into Disney Quest, there was 5 different levels. The 5 different levels had so many different rides, but they also had a bunch of arcade games as well. But we're not going to really talk about the arcade games because that's not really important. On the 5th floor, well, no, let's start with the 1st floor because I like working my way up. On the 1st floor, we had the Jungle Cruise game. The Jungle Cruise game had it so you were in an inflatable raft, and you would actually be rowing a boat, row your boat, while a giant Jungle Cruise screen in front of you happened. Now, when you were going through this Jungle Cruise screen, there would be water that would hit you and stuff like that. And you had about 4 or 5 minutes to actually go through the entire experience. However, a lot of people never actually finished this experience because you only had 4 or 5 minutes. When you would go through on the Jungle Cruise attraction, there were several different routes that you could take. So if you took one route, it might have taken a longer route, but you would have more fun, exciting things happening. But if you took the shorter route, you had a better chance of actually getting to the finish. Side note, I never finished this until the very last day of Disney Quest being open, because that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to take the short route so I can actually finish this entire game. And we finished it. It was great. Also on the 1st floor, originally they had a RC motor car experience, which was one of the coolest things that I've ever experienced in my life. It closed down after about 3 or 4 years because most people didn't know what they were doing, and most people are crashing the cars into each other. What this was they had a wall of different things, or a wall of different steering wheels, and these steering wheels had it so there was a camera in front of you that actually showed you where your car was. So you could go through, and there was a massive maze that you were taking your RC car through. Now, the RC cars were actually below you. So when you looked down at the ground, there was a glass floor. And on this glass floor, there were different RC cars. And these RC cars were actually being driven by the people along the wall. The point of this game was to go through and try to find as many gems as you could find within the allotted time. The allotted time was forever. But the problem was so many people would actually stop playing the game and they would walk away, and then you would have RC cars blocking other RC cars. So some people never had the chance to really do the full game because so enough people stopped playing it because they couldn't go anywhere unless other people were playing as well. So they completely stopped because of that. In addition to that, they also had on the 1st floor the Pirates of the Caribbean game. The Pirates of the Caribbean game was one of my favorite experiences all throughout Disney Quest. You would go there and you would actually be in a 3D interactive experience, and it had the same technology that Buzz Lightyear Space Rangers, or I'm sorry, no, Toy Story Midway Mania had, where it had the shooting trigger thing, and you would pull the cord back and it would shoot out cannons, and you would go through and have a pilot or a captain, and then you would also have 5 gunners or up to 5 gunners in this room as well. The point of this was to go through and try to capture as much gold as possible before, again, your time ran out. Overall, I think it was probably the greatest experience that they had throughout the entire Disney Quest area. On the 2nd floor, we had Aladdin's Magic Flying Carpet. I really liked this one. Most people hated this one. I really liked it. You had those giant virtual reality goggles put on you, and you would actually hop onto a magic carpet and you would fly all around. Overall, I thought it was a great experience. Most people I knew absolutely hated it. So I think I'm just the weird one. Also, at this location, you could also find the Magic of Disney Animation, where they had the animator teach you how to draw. Same thing that you could do over at the Magic Disney Animation at Disney MGM Studios at the time. And then also you could build your own roller coaster in Cyberspace Mountain. You could have it so it was as crazy as possible. You could go upside down, upside down, upside down, upside down, upside down, upside down. I think it was 10 times they would let you go upside down. Of course, naturally, I usually try to go upside down as many times as possible because I always thought it was funny. On top of all of that stuff, we also had it so on the next level up was the 3rd level. The 3rd level was Mighty Ducks Pinball. Mighty Ducks Pinball was you would stand on these things and you would wobble back and forth, and they would have it so you would be a pinball ball on a giant board, and you would have to try to score as many points as you could. And then in addition to that, they also had the Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters, which was sitting down inside of a bumper car, and you also like rolled over balls, and you could get these foam balls and you could shoot at other cars. I love that one. That was so much fun. You would shoot at other cars, and people would spin around in circles after you hit them. And then on the 4th floor, we had, what did we have there? I'm trying to think of, Into the Comics. another virtual reality one where you would actually have it so you would go through and you would play a virtual comic book game. And then on the 5th floor, we had the extraterrestrial alien encounter, but it was like an interactive adventure, and that one was a lot of fun as well. So eventually what would happen is Disney Quest would kind of fall by the wayside. First off, it would fall by the wayside in Chicago. It lasted only for about 2 or 3 years in Chicago before they said, you know what, not enough people are going to this, and they scrapped that one, and then they also scrapped the idea, but opening up one in New York City and also opening ones all around the country as well. So when they closed that, they decided, you know what, it's just not working at all. Disney World's one, however, did last for about another 15, 20 years. As time would go on, slowly more and more different things would actually fade away from Disney Quest, and more people would just say, you know what, it's not really worth going to. And eventually it would just close up forever to make way for the NBA experience, which lasted for about 3 months. Oh, I really miss it. I really missed it. I love Disney Quest. Oh, wait, if anyone has any questions about Disney Quest in the comments below, throw your questions in the comments below, and we will go through and answer as many as possible here. I enjoy the Alice in Wonderland food court. Those oversized chairs made you feel part of the movie. I always enjoy the Alice in Wonderland food court as well. Also, back when I first moved down to Florida in 2010, they had it so you could go online because it was like still like a really cool thing to do. And they had free connections to the internet. And I used to go on and put from screenatheme.com on all the computers. That's a true story. And I just like, oh, I forgot to take it off. Suckers. My favorite was the Pirates Simulator game. I love the Pirates game. That was such a fun one. My favorite was the build your own roller coaster experience. Mighty Ducks Pinball. I think my top 3 were, I loved the Pirates of the Caribbean. I loved the Buzz Lightyear. The Buzz Lightyear was so much fun. And then I really liked the Jungle Cruise one as well. Those were like the 3 that I would go on. Like those are the 3 that I was like, I have to do these ones when I'm here. I miss Disney Quest too. I will never forgive them for closing it. I still think they should put a East Coast. What I 100% agree. They really should do that. Should we start a petition? The problem with Disney Quest is I love Disney Quest, but the problem with it was not enough people would go. Even with my annual pass, I had the annual pass where it would also allow me to go there. And even with my annual pass allowing me to go there for free, I didn't go often enough. So I think a lot of people just said, they would just kind of skip it. And even when people would go there, they wouldn't spend much time there as well. I used to go about once every 2 weeks-ish when I first moved down. And I would go through and I would do like a few of the rides. But the problem with Disney Quest is for someone who was going by themselves like I was. Every now and then I go with friends, but overall I was usually by myself. A lot of the games were for more than one person. So unless you're doing like Aladdin, where you could just be by yourself. If you're doing Jungle Cruise, it was tough to do Jungle Cruise by yourself. It was tough to do Pirates of the Caribbean by yourself. They would usually throw you with like random strangers, and they would be terrible at the games, and you'd just be frustrated the whole time. At least I would, because I'm competitive. The building where Disney Quest is gone. Yes. So when they got rid of Disney Quest, they completely got rid of the entire building. They demolished the building, and then they built a brand new building for the NBA experience. And the main reason the NBA experience closed down was just due to the fact that it opened right before March of 2020, like literally just like 3 months before. And it was open and it wasn't doing great. It was doing pretty good, but it wasn't doing great. And so eventually they said, okay, it's been closed for so long, and they just didn't have enough money to keep it open. So they said, we're just going to close this down. And right now it's kind of a shell of a building. They just were using it for a interactive 3D experience for Star Wars, which I did once, and that was fun. But overall, I think Disney Quest was better. Although the NBA experience was kind of fun. I went there once, and it was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Okay. Let's go up here to your things. Someone choose a number between 1 and 4. No, 1 and 5. 1 and 5. Choose a number between 1 and 5. You're happy that Judy got you an Orlando Magic. Yeah, I bought my Milwaukee Bucks hat from there, and that was about it. Okay, we have number 5. So what we're gonna do, we're doing this way here. 1, 2. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so push the talking trash can. I love push. Push pushes the go in half. Okay, so push the talking trash can. So push the talking trash can was a addition to Tomorrowland shortly before I did my college program, like right before I did my college program. We have pictures of Push everywhere. So Push was essentially the mascot for the custodians when I did my custodian thing. Who said this last time? Someone said the last time, they're like, I feel like Brent has a connection to every single one of these things. I have a connection to Push. So because I was a custodian, Push the Talking Trash Can was pretty popular amongst the custodian fan base. The custodians, we loved them. We would go through with them. I know someone who I did my college program with who had Push propose to their now wife because why wouldn't you have a trash can? I saw Push probably propose to like 4 or 5 people throughout my time because it's Push. Everyone loves Push. So Push the Talking Trash Can. Yeah, I usually buy most of the stuff that has any trash can thing. I usually buy it because custodials are awesome. Or custodians, not custodial. Custodials the role, custodians are the people. But so Push came around mainly due to the fact that some guy who lives in the Orlando area came up with this brand new technology where he could actually have it so he could have a trash can roll around and talk to people. And he pitched the idea to Disney, and Disney said, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Like, let's do it." So Push was actually never an officially a Disney-owned character. Like, he was not Disney-owned whatsoever. He was a third-party character, and this guy was hired outside of Disney. It was almost always the same person who was with Push, who was friends with Push, but most people never really realized that the guy was there. The guy was just some random Joe. He always wore a hat. He always had a bag with him, and his hand would always be inside the bag, and his hands would always be like this. And he would be talking into the microphone that would actually have it so Push would go through when he would interact with people. Overall, I think Push was an amazing attraction, or a character, if you will. Push eventually became so popular that Push got a girlfriend. This is true. I can't think of what Push's girlfriend's name is for the life of me right now. Push's girlfriend only lasted for maybe a year, and she lived exclusively over at Rafiki's Planet Watch over in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Push's girlfriend would also roll around. She would talk to you about trash and about recycling and about how recycling was good, but didn't really have the same edge as Push. Push would kind of sit there and talk about anything and everything with anyone and everyone, mainly due to the fact that Push was he was a people person, or he's a people can. That's just how he was. And so Push lasted from around early 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, and until about 2015. Now, the reason that Push went away is mainly just due to the fact that the guy who was running Push asked for too much. And it's not the fact that he asked for too much. One of the guys I know, actually, he was kind of part of this whole negotiation system. It's so tough having a laptop on your lap for the whole time. And then you got this giant blast of light over here. And in reality, it's not that. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. But someone I know was part of the negotiations for Push. So essentially what happened was the guy who wanted Push had not even reached his negotiations yet, and he started a petition online saying that Disney was getting rid of Push. And he told a few big websites about how Disney didn't want Push back, At this point, the negotiations never happened. He was thinking that if Disney saw the outcry for how much they loved Push, they would give him a bigger bonus when he went for negotiations for how much to get paid. Well, this backfired on him because eventually it was found out that this was actually the person who was in charge of the whole thing. And when they found out that he was the one who was in charge of the entire thing, trying to fire back on Disney for Push, Disney said, well, if you're going to be making up lies about us and our negotiations, then we're just not going to, we're not going to work with you anymore. And that's how Push disappeared, unfortunately. So Push is no longer part of our lives. And I miss Push dearly. I really do. ICANN was kind of a replacement of Push. He was around in Tomorrowland for about 2-3 years, and then he disappeared, and he just came back a few weeks ago or a few months ago now when Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind reopened. ICANN can still be found over at by Guardians of the Galaxy to this day. I've seen him multiple times now. Walking around or rolling around over there. But he is not a trash can. He is a robot, but it's kind of like the second generation of what Push was. But if you ever see ICANN is hilarious. I love ICANN as well. ICANN and Push are kind of in the same league. But that is the story of Trash the Can. Yeah, Peepa. That was it. Peepa the trash can. Peepa and Push. Oh, they loved each other so much. Okay, let's see if we got any new subscribers. Even if we didn't, we'll do one more. All right, we'll do one more. Our time is up, but we're going to do one more for tonight. We're just going to randomly choose one. Whatever, I'm going to scroll up, and whatever the first one I see is, that's the one we're going to do. First one I see is Living with the Seas, the Living Seas. The Living Seas is going to be our final one for this evening. So the Living Seas has gone through kind of a crazy history. Not a crazy history, but it's gone through a history, if you will. Who remembers? And it rained, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained. Remember that? No. Okay, so no one remembers. So the Living Seas opened up shortly after Epcot opened up. It was the largest at that time aquarium in the entire world. Since then, it has been surpassed by the aquarium that is found in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, if you took all of Spaceship Earth, you didn't even cut it in half or anything like that. You could actually submerge all of Spaceship Earth inside of the aquarium. That's how big it is. It does not look that big from the outside, but it does go down ways. And it is a massive, massive, massive structure that most people don't really realize how big it actually is over there. So the Living Seas originally debuted with an attraction and no pre-show. Eventually, the pre-show came. And with the pre-show, we also got the brand new hydrolators. Does anyone remember the hydrolators? No. So you would go through and they had the pre-show, and in the pre-show they would go through and they would talk about how earth and water go hand in hand. If it wasn't for life, you wouldn't have the seas, and if you didn't have the seas, you wouldn't have life, and the two of them would go hand in hand together. I will never forget the lady who's like, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained. That was the pre-show. Eventually, what they would do is they would say, "Oh, you can either choose to go into the pre-show or you can go straight to the ride." If you went straight to the ride, you bypass the hydrolators. But if you go through and you go into the pre-show, you would also get to go on the hydrolators, which would take you deep down into the ocean, far below, and have it so you could go onto this ride where you're underneath the water. So when they originally started to do this attraction that way, you would actually go through. I can remember going in the hydrolators as a child and vividly thinking, oh my gosh, this is so cool. We are going deep down into the water. Like we were going underground, and every time I went on there, I was convinced until one time there was some guy there, and he's like, huh, I bet some of these kids think that like you're actually going underwater. And I remember going, yeah, as I'm, it drove me crazy because I truly believed as a child. But since now I'm an adult, and actually when he said that, I was like, oh, like I think I was like 12, and I was like, oh yeah, like all of a sudden it was like it clicked, like how it worked. It was the same thing. Remember a few weeks ago, we talked about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and how you never actually were in a submarine because it never submerged, but they would have it so to give that effect of you diving down, they would throw a bunch of bubbles up. They did the same thing with these hydrolators. So you go into the hydrolator and they would have it so the ground would shake a little bit, and you would have it so on the side you could see the water and it would be going up. So it looked like you were going down. But in reality, you weren't moving anywhere. The ground was just kind of shaking with about 8 of you inside. Then the elevators on the other side would open up, and you would be in a underground lab going into the living seas. So you'd be just literally going from one spot to another spot. It's kind of like the Haunted Mansion here at Walt Disney World, where you're not actually going down, but people are convinced that you're going down on an elevator in the stretch room. However, in Disneyland, you are going down in a stretch room. Two different things. But you would then go into your ride vehicle. And when you go into the ride vehicle, remember the ride vehicles? They're kind of like, it's kind of like the People Mover cars, but not as cool and not as relaxing. And it was one of the shortest attractions of all time. It wasn't like what you have now within the Big Blue World, and you're going through the entire storyline. They would have a little bit of a storyline, but overall, the main part was you would go through this tunnel, and around you, you could look out and you could see the water on either side of your ride vehicle. Right now, your ride vehicle only faces towards one window. At that point, you could actually see out both sides. If you're ever in the actual tank area, like when you're at the tank observation area on the second floor, you can look down and you can actually see the tunnel where the seas with Nemo and Friends actually goes through. That was the exact same tunnel. So eventually what would happen is in 2003, Pixar would have a hit film called Finding Nemo. So in 2004, they decided to do a test run to kind of see if people would be interested in seeing a little bit more of Nemo. So what they first did was they actually brought out a Nemo audio-animatronic. It was a character meet and greet. Nemo was like yay big, like he was actually pretty decent size, and he was on wheels, and he would roll around outside of the pavilion and be like, "I'm Nemo," and people would say, "Oh, it is Nemo," and I found him. So it's very basic, very simple. So you could go through and you could see Nemo. And eventually that was popular enough that enough people were excited to see Nemo by the seas that what they decided to do was add in Turtle Talk with Crush. So when they added in Turtle Talk with Crush, they decided again, we're going to see exactly if people like Nemo enough to actually have it so he can actually star in his own pavilion. And then about a year after that, they closed down the seas permanently, or the living seas permanently. And then they opened it up shortly after as the Seas with Nemo and Friends. So the Seas with Nemo with Friends became the brand new home for where the Living Seas was. You can still to this day find two references to the Living Seas, the original name of Living Seas, or the original pavilion of the Living Seas, at the pavilion still to this day. One is if you go over towards the manatee area on your right hand side, you can find a poster, and on the bottom right corner of that poster there is a smallest little, it's literally like yay big, it's a little circle, but it's the original Living Seas emblem. You can also find this exact same emblem on the other side as well. So the Living Seas is still around here in some way, shape, or form. Most of the pavilion is pretty much the same. The only thing that's different is when you go through that first queue area, when you're going through and it's like you're on the beach, that was kind of similar, but instead it was just going up and down the line. And then when you get to the next area where you go under the sea kind of thing, and you have like the projections on the wall with the school of fish projecting different images, at that point, that would actually been the pre-show area for the attraction. And then you would take a left and go down towards the hydrolators. So most of the stuff is still around, but a lot of the stuff is different as well. If that makes sense at all. Okay, any questions about the the Living Seas before we wrap up tonight's show here? I remember riding Nemo, exiting, looking at the equipment, and asking cast member what happened to the attract from the original ride. I thought Nemo was a different ride. Yeah, no, it was the Nemo track's a little bit longer than what the other one was. They actually added a little bit of a line. So part of the start of the Seas with Nemo and Friends is where the old pre-show building is, but the end part of the attraction is still the same. But they did expand the track a little bit for the Seas with Nemo and Friends. 3 Worlds, Boy Meets World, yes. So, 2 TGIF shows. We actually talked about TGIF last week too. 2 TGIF shows did film here at the Living Seas. One of them was Boy Meets World. Topanga goes down on a special class thing, and she goes down and she's with another guy, and Corey and Sean don't get in because they're not the brightest kids. And Corey is convinced that she's going to fall in love with this other guy, so he comes down to fall in love with her, and they're at the Living Seas for the majority of it, and then they end up kissing in front of Spaceship Earth. And then the other show was over Full House inside the Living Seas, was where Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey did their broadcast for the radio show, was down at the bottom. Yeah, so when they closed down the original one, you could look out on both sides. So they changed it up a little bit from what it originally was. It's actually, I want to say it's just painted over from the inside of what you can actually see. But you could actually see 360, or not 360, but you could see all around you on the original attraction. Oh, you did the tour to swim in there and the dolphin tour. Oh, see, I've never done any of the tours in there, but I would love to at some point. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. Tonight's show, as always, is sponsored by It's All About the Miles Travel. I don't think I said this at the start, so I apologize. It's sponsored by It's All About the Miles Travel. Make sure you stop by It's All About the Miles Travel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely, positively, 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen and Theme, and invite anyone and everyone to join the groups over on Facebook. The ball is in Florida. It's all about I got this. Don't worry. You want the ball? We're going to get you the ball. But hold on for 1 second. Block Party Bash Ball. Okay, here we go. It's all about the mouse travel. Thank you everyone for joining us again this week. I appreciate all of you guys. As always, if you guys want to order a copy of the book, make sure you go visit the Shop Now button. I will not be shipping them out until next week when I return back to Florida. Next week's Wednesday show next week's Wednesday show will definitely be another half-hour show. I apologize in advance. However, make sure you join us. We will be answering your Disney questions next week about anything and everything Disney, doing our Ask the Expert segment. So just make sure you join us. Like I said, we are not going to be having new YouTube videos out this week. However, we will be having YouTube shorts out. So make sure you keep on checking those out, giving them a like, giving a comment, giving a share. Share it with all your friends, family. If you don't like them, share them with your enemies so they have to suffer too. Until next time, I hope everyone out there has a great day, and we'll see you guys all a little later. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I can't stand this kind of prayer.